With former WWE stars considering a return now that Triple H is head of creative and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 27th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Being the Superstar crossover, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair revealed a humiliating moment she had in WWE thanks to her husband playing a prank on her. The only other embarrassing moment I've had is my husband Montez Ford trying to rib me when I first got to the main roster. I was talking about the Usos, and I said something about them being twins. He said, "They're not twins." What? No, they're not twins. Really? They look just alike. That's crazy. I was in the locker room one day training and I was like, I can't believe the Usos are twins. They looked at me like, what are you talking about? They are twins. I'm like, my husband told me they weren't twins. It was probably a couple of months. I was so adamant. No, they're not. They're not twins. What are you talking about? Yes, they are. Okay, never mind. I go to my husband and I'm like, why did you tell me that? I don't know. I was just messing with you. I actually said it out loud in front of people. With Sportskeeda, Liv Morgan talked about becoming SmackDown Women's Champion after cashing in Money in the Bank, where she noted she hopes more younger stars continue to receive these opportunities. I hope so. I really do hope so, because I read something on the internet a couple of days ago, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm the first WWE superstar over the last 4 years to win the SmackDown Women's Championship that wasn't a 4-horsewoman or Ronda Rousey. One, I think that's unbelievable, and I'm so proud to have it be me, but hope that trend is something that can continue. You know, to have newer talents fight for these opportunities because we have such an incredible women's roster. I want to defend my championship against anyone that wants to fight for it. I hope this is the start of WWE highlighting and featuring more talent. Promoting his final match on July 31st for StarCast, Ric Flair made it clear that this will be his last bout, telling Chris Van Vliet, "It has to be my last match." I get that question asked a lot, but it has to be. Even if I do well, I can't go back on my word to the people that have given me all this respect, time, and bought tickets. I've been offered 10 matches at 50 grand a piece, and I think in Europe someone offered me 100 grand, but this will be the last one. I can manage somebody and be in the ring, but it will be my last match. Flair also gave his reaction to Vince McMahon retiring from WWE. I wasn't happy about it at all. I love Vince McMahon. I don't know what he is doing right now, but I feel like he will have a hard time. He will adjust obviously, but he loved the business. And he made us all who we are, from Hulk to everybody. I don't care what everybody else thinks, he made us, and I have nothing but respect for him. He is a majority stockholder. I don't know if he will stay away or not. He's a genius. Talking to Sportskeeda ahead of his match against Pat McAfee at Summerslam, Happy Corbin touched on how long he plans to continue wrestling and what he wants to do after. I've made some good buddies in the Food Network world. Chef Aaron May is one of my good buddies. He's always on Guys Grocery Games. I want to have another 5 or 10 years here in WWE, but eventually, like all athletes at some point, our body doesn't keep up with our minds anymore. We may think we can go, and I want to be a guy who withdraws at the appropriate time. I don't want to be there too long. I don't want to jeopardize because I feel like I've got good stigmas about me other than everybody hates me, but that I'm good in the ring. I'm smooth, I have a creative moveset, I make things look as violent as possible, and those kinds of things. So I don't want to be a step behind my mind physically. So I think, in the next 5 or 10 years, I'll probably have reached that point. Then I definitely want to get into that food world, whether it's Food Network or it's my own YouTube stuff. Or, my buddy Aaron does a lot of stuff where he's a guest, where he's a celebrity sponsored cook. We were talking about doing the food and wine festival together in Connecticut because we're going to go out there for WWE and raise some good money for Connor's Cure. So I'm going to cook out there. So there's a lot of really cool opportunities that food will bring when I'm done throwing people like Pat McAfee around in a ring. During an interview with Outkick 360, Matt Riddle talked about his signature entrance in WWE where he kicks his flip-flops off his feet and into the crowd. He recalled an incident that went wrong, saying, "One time, this was back when I was still in NXT. We were doing a house show, so the guardrails are a little closer to the ring. I kicked off the flops, and usually they go over the top and float down. But for some reason, the left foot flew off sooner and it kind of darted out the bottom rope and middle rope in between them. There was an elderly woman sitting front row and it cracked her right in the face and broke her glasses. I felt so bad because she couldn't see the match and I broke her glasses. Usually security, they take my flip-flops from the fans. I get them back because they're hard to come by. This ain't a John Cena sweatband. They're premium flops. The flop cracked an elderly lady, broke her glasses. She was a good sport about it, and I let her keep the flip-flops. You want to keep them? I'm so sorry. She kept them. I brought the action to the outside, gave the guys some hits in front of her, get her into the action. I felt bad. That's the worst one I've seen in person. Talking to Sportskeeda about potential competitors for her in AEW, former women's champion Britt Baker made it clear that she wants to face AJ Lee. I think you have to ask her that, not me. I think I would love to see AJ Lee in the ring again. She did so much for women's wrestling, and I think there's so much more that she can do, even if she doesn't know that there are so many girls that still look up to her, myself included. Now I see myself on an even playing field as her. I think I could. I feel like I could be better than AJ. So let's get in the ring and see. I'd love for her to come out of retirement. I'd love for her to be in an AEW ring. I'd love to possibly have a tag match. Speaking of AJ Lee, her husband CM Punk recently spoke to Skewed and Reviewed, where he revealed how his wife could come back to wrestling. Sometimes she'll be like, tell me when the girls are on. She's a big fan of Jade Cargill. I think women like Jade and Britt Baker especially, if she's ever going to want to wrestle, I think they're the ones that can draw her in based on looks and ability in the work. Given the news of Vince McMahon retiring from WWE, Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan have now been named co-CEOs, and Triple H is now once again head of talent relations and the newly made head of creative, which has some former WWE stars thinking of a return. Fightful reported that one former NXT talent that had options within WWE before signing elsewhere said that they felt an incredible sense of loyalty to Triple H, and had he been the person managing their creative future, things could have been much different. The talent and another talent that ended up in AEW said that they had no confidence in being creatively satisfied on the WWE main roster. And one said, I'm glad that I went to AEW, but if I was graduating to a Triple H-led SmackDown or Raw, I probably would have re-signed with WWE before my deal was up. Another top free agent that has several options that we spoke to said that both Triple H and Stephanie McMahon being in their positions greatly increases the possibility of eventually heading back to the company. We've heard from other free agents that were hopeful their previous relationships with Triple H led to them at least having conversations, but didn't expect that to happen imminently. WrestleVotes would additionally note that, with SummerSlam being his first real show in total control, source says Triple H would like to make a creative splash at the event. However, only if it's making sense. Won't just do something to do it. How about the change of pace already? When asked about Triple H possibly being open to WWE working with AEW in the future, AEW President Tony Khan told NBC Sports Boston, I'm not sure if that's the case, but I would certainly be open to talk with pretty much any wrestling promotion in the world about how to work together if these circumstances are right. We've worked with, I would say, in terms of securing footage or providing talent with probably a dozen companies around the world, including Ring of Honor before I was the owner when they were owned by Sinclair. I'd like to think that was positively received by them, and we did things to help them out when they were in tough times. And I think that goodwill helped us in the sale process. Reacting to Vince McMahon's retirement on his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T was asked if the relationship between talent and management will change, as he said, Vince retired. Is it going to affect guys, certain guys, especially certain guys in certain positions? Yeah, heck yeah. That's because I think a lot of these guys are used to dealing with Vince McMahon directly. It's a certain comfort zone there that these guys have had with Vince. They can knock on that door and they go in there and they can actually have a conversation with him and get that wisdom, that advice from Vince. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of guys cherish that. A lot of guys went through their whole careers having Vince be that umbrella. Yeah, I could totally understand that 100%. With Vince McMahon no longer in charge of WWE, Tony Khan spoke about the possibility of AEW stars now making the jump to WWE. There are a lot of changes in pro wrestling. I think it's going to be really positive for the fans overall. I am a little amused that changes in the competition. People think it's going to magically change the landscape. Some of these accounts, Twitter can be a fun place to follow, but some of the narratives I've seen every day for the last week are really amusing to me. I've got people signed here for 5 years, and people think that just because the CEO, chairman, head of creative, those people changed in the competition, people I have 5-year contracts with are going to magically switch teams? Good luck with that. Adam Cole is signed until 2027 now. I wouldn't expect to see him going anywhere anytime soon. Malachi Black has almost 5 years left on his deal. I wouldn't expect him going anywhere anytime soon. Just because these guys had some success under a previous administration somewhere else, they're not magically going to be going anywhere. Those are two people I like, just as examples of people who have worked under the previous administration. I'm very amused by that. That's a narrative I see so-called wrestling writers pushing every day. It's pretty amusing. When it comes to the reason why Riddle and Rollins won't be facing at SummerSlam, Fightful said WWE announced Wednesday that the match would not be taking place, citing an injury to Riddle. We're told that the injury is kayfabe, and there are plans to do the match down the line. Those we spoke to claim it was due to creative adjustments. We're told talent was informed Monday, and the working plan was to have the match take place at the Clash at the Castle in September. However, with the ever-changing WWE landscape, it's quite possible that isn't final. As of now, Rollins is expected to travel to Nashville for SummerSlam weekend and has media obligations scheduled Friday. Rollins would take to Twitter after the news broke, writing, "For anyone who purchased a ticket to SummerSlam hoping to see me in action, I apologize. I did everything I could over the last 6 months to earn my spot on the show, but some things are out of my control. Thank you for always singing my song. They'll hear you someday." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.